My best friend's creepy boyfriend tried to blackmail her using private photos he secretly stole. So we fought back, exposed his dirtiest secrets to the world, and thought we were finally free. But 2 years later he just sent me a chilling message that said, "I'm still watching you." Encountering Michaela was like discovering a missing piece of myself. She wasn't just my closest companion. She was, as she'd insist, my sister. During our freshman year of college, when a male student disseminated her private images, I stood firmly by her side. I silenced anyone who dared to mock her, and I ended relationships with any man who made light of the situation. It wasn't until our senior year that she found someone new. He was her finance professional with striking green eyes, towering at 6 feet 6 inches, and seemingly kind only to her. She began to embrace the color pink once more, and her complexion radiated. When their relationship became official, she finally arranged for me to meet him. Spending time with them felt like being with a loving couple. They even treated me to Wendy's and indulged my desire to play all too well on an endless loop. Given that I resided closer to Marcus than Michaela did, he dropped her off first. The moment we were alone in the car, I began to tease him playfully. "You know Michaela's my girlfriend, right? You're just a secondary interest." I anticipated a chuckle or a light-hearted challenge for her affection. Instead he responded, "I'm not so sure that's accurate because Michaela says you're quite dull." I turned to face him, expecting a smile or some indication that he was jesting. But his expression remained entirely impassive. He continued, "You only get to experience college once. And Michaela and I both agree you're squandering it." The remainder of the drive passed in complete silence. You see, Michaela was far from a wild partygoer, but she did enjoy smoking marijuana most evenings. I, on the other hand, had never even tasted alcohol. Whenever I questioned if I was too uninteresting for her, she would always dismiss my concerns and affirm her love for me. At the time it sounded convincing, but now I harbor doubts. I attempted to brush it off, but something shifted after that encounter. Michaela started taking days to reply to my messages, and had completely ceased attending her classes. My anxious attachment style, I suppose, got the better of me because one day I found myself at her doorstep, a nicotine vape in hand. The moment she opened the door, I exhaled a large cloud of vapor into her face. "Hey!" I exclaimed, trying to maintain a cheerful demeanor. Suppressing my cough was even more challenging than pretending that matcha lattes actually taste good. She gazed at me, utterly astonished. "I wasn't aware you'd taken up vaping," she remarked, her tone neutral and amused. "Yep," I declared before performing the smoke rings I had practiced en route. She allowed me inside, and after merely 2 minutes of awkwardness, we reverted to our usual selves, laughing at trivialities and gossiping about everyone we knew. That's when her boyfriend entered from the kitchen. He joined us and everything was progressing smoothly. Suddenly, Michaela excused herself to the bathroom. Once she was gone, Marcus sat on the bed beside me. He offered me one of those miniature vodka bottles. "Michaela told me she couldn't help but feel uncomfortable around you, which is why she's been so distant." I don't know why I believed him, but I did. The next thing I knew, I was consuming the entire contents. When Michaela returned and caught me in the act, she shrieked, "You've changed so much. I've been waiting for this moment." I glanced at Marcus, who wore a broad smirk. We all took 2 shots each. Or rather, they did, because in the bathroom, I retrieved one of Michaela's half-empty wine bottles from the floor and drank the whole thing. Then another, then another. I suppose the drunken overconfidence took hold, because I was genuinely surprised when I started vomiting everywhere. I stumbled back into her bedroom barely conscious, and I don't recall what happened next, but I awoke at 3 a.m. to Michaela holding my hair back as I vomited into a bowl on the floor beside me. "Ava, what's happening with you?" she inquired, and I was too intoxicated to resist her questioning. "Marcus told me the truth, Michaela, that I'm too uninteresting for you." By this point I had stopped throwing up, and I could discern the sadness in her eyes. She remained silent for a while before finally whispering, "I never said that." After another minute of deep contemplation, she continued, "Marcus told me you said I was too intense and needed some space." I burst out laughing, realizing Marcus had manipulated us both expertly. Apparently, while we were estranged, he had attempted to persuade Michaela to cut ties with her parents and even accused her of infidelity with her male professors. I helped her compose a breakup message right then and there, and she blocked him on every platform. Good riddance. But the following morning, I awoke to the sound of Michaela weeping. She said nothing, simply handed me her phone. My face blanched. It was the exact message she had received when her private images were leaked. Because Marcus had done the precise same thing, except Michaela had never sent them to him. They were gym progress pictures saved on her laptop, which was now missing. I sprang out of bed so quickly I nearly fell over. My head was still throbbing from the previous night. I rushed to her desk where her laptop usually sat. Nothing. We meticulously searched her entire room for it. Under the bed, in the closet, behind the dresser. It was gone. Michaela was trembling and I gripped her shoulders. I told her we needed to think. When was the last time she saw it? She said it was there yesterday morning before Marcus arrived. He must have taken it when we were both completely incapacitated. I checked the time on my phone. It was only 7 a.m. The pictures hadn't been posted anywhere yet. Just threats. Perhaps we still had time. I told Michaela to check if Marcus had been active on any social media. She couldn't as she had blocked him everywhere. So I retrieved my phone and searched his name. His Instagram indicated he was active 20 minutes ago. That meant he was awake and likely at his apartment. Michaela wanted to contact the police, but I reminded her of what happened last time. They did nothing when her ex leaked her photos, merely advising her not to send pictures to boys. We needed to retrieve that laptop ourselves. I knew where Marcus resided because I had been in his car. It was only a 15-minute walk from campus. Michaela was too frightened to go, but I persuaded her we had to try. We donned hoodies and began walking. My hands trembled the entire way there. When we reached his building, I realized we faced another obstacle. How would we gain entry? The main door required a key fob. We waited outside for someone to emerge. After 10 minutes, an elderly woman appeared, and we slipped in behind her. Marcus lived on the 3rd floor, apartment 3B. We opted for the stairs because I was too anxious to stand still in an elevator. Outside his door, we could hear music playing. He was definitely home. Michaela knocked while I stood to the side. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. The music ceased. We heard footsteps approaching. The door opened just a crack, the chain still engaged. Marcus peered out and saw Michaela. He attempted to slam it shut, but I wedged my foot in the gap. I told him we merely wished to speak. He laughed and said we had nothing to discuss. Michaela began to cry, pleading with him not to post the pictures. He claimed he didn't know what she was talking about. I pushed harder against the door and told him we knew he took her laptop. He called us crazy and threatened to call security. That's when I noticed something through the crack. On his coffee table, I could see a silver laptop that looked precisely like Michaela's. I pointed it out to her and she gasped. Marcus noticed where we were looking, and his expression changed. He stopped denying it and began to negotiate. He said if Michaela took him back, he'd return the laptop and delete everything. She told him to go to hell. He said fine. Then everyone would see the pictures by noon. I was growing desperate. I pushed harder against the door, but the chain held firm. Then I remembered something. When we had been drinking that night, Marcus had been boasting about his apartment. After his 3rd shot, he had mentioned always forgetting his keys and chuckled about hiding a spare. I whispered to Michaela to keep him talking. Then I sprinted down the hall checking everywhere. Under the welcome mat, above the doorframe, behind the fire extinguisher. Nothing. Then I spotted a fake rock by the stairwell window with dead plants. Bingo. I seized the key and ran back. Marcus was still speaking through the crack, issuing threats about ruining Michaela's life. I quietly slid the key into the lock and turned it. The deadbolt clicked open. Marcus heard it and attempted to push the door closed, but I was already forcing my way in. The chain snapped, and I stumbled into his apartment. He recoiled from us, raising his hands. I went directly for the laptop on the table. It was undeniably Michaela's, adorned with her familiar stickers. I grabbed it and checked if it was logged in. It was. I could see the folder with her pictures still open on the desktop. My blood was absolutely boiling. Marcus lunged for the laptop, but I pulled it away. He seized my wrist and we struggled for it. Michaela screamed at him to let go. I yanked free and ran to the other side of his couch. He pursued me, but tripped over his own coffee table. While he was down, I swiftly deleted the folder containing her pictures. Then I emptied the trash, but I knew that wasn't sufficient. He likely had copies elsewhere. Marcus rose, his face flushed with anger. He said deleting them wouldn't matter because he had backups on his phone and cloud storage. My heart sank. Of course he did. He pulled out his phone and waved it at us. Said he could upload them right now if he wanted. Michaela begged him not to. I told her to stop giving him the satisfaction. We needed to strategize more effectively. I asked Marcus what he truly desired. He claimed he wanted Michaela back. But we all knew that was nonsense. This was about control and retribution. I tried a different approach. I told him if he posted those pictures, we'd ensure everyone knew the kind of person he truly was. He laughed and said no one would believe us. But then I remembered something. My phone had been in my jacket pocket recording. I'd been using it to record a voice memo for class when I left, and in my drunken fumbling, must have never stopped it. I pulled out my phone and checked my recordings. There it was, a 20-minute voice recording from last night. I hit play and turned up the volume. You could hear Marcus telling me those lies about Michaela. You could hear him pressuring me to drink. You could hear everything. His face went pale. I told him I'd send this to everyone he knew if he didn't delete those pictures right now. Every single copy. He tried to grab my phone, but I backed away. Michaela stood between us. He was cornered and he knew it. But Marcus wasn't finished being despicable. He said fine, he'd delete them, but only if I deleted my recording first. I laughed in his face. Did he think I was foolish? I told him he'd delete everything while we watched, then we'd leave. And if he ever contacted Michaela again, the recording goes public. He stood there for a long moment weighing his options. Finally, he unlocked his phone. We watched him go through his photos and delete every single one, then his cloud backups, then his recently deleted folder. I made him show us his laptop too. He had an entire folder labeled with Michaela's name. Incredibly creepy. We watched him permanently delete everything. When he was done, I told him to stay away from us. We took Michaela's laptop and headed for the door. But as we were leaving, Marcus uttered something that sent a chill down my spine. He said this wasn't over and that we'd regret this. I turned around and told him if he tried anything, everyone would know what he did. We left his apartment and practically sprinted back to campus. Michaela was trembling the entire way. When we returned to her dorm, we both collapsed on her bed. She embraced me and wept for about 20 minutes. I told her it was over now. She was safe. But I kept contemplating what Marcus had said. Individuals like him didn't simply surrender. We needed to be cautious. I suggested she change all her passwords just in case. She agreed and we spent the next hour securing all her accounts. New passwords for everything, two-factor authentication, the works. I also made her check if Marcus had installed anything suspicious on her laptop. We discovered some questionable monitoring software hidden in her system files. That pervert had been spying on her for who knows how long. We uninstalled it immediately. By noon, nothing had been posted online. We continued checking every platform, but it seemed Marcus had actually deleted everything. Still, I didn't trust him. I told Michaela she should stay with me for a few days. She packed a bag and we went to my dorm. My roommate was understanding. She'd heard about Marcus's behavior and said Michaela could stay as long as she needed. That night, we ordered pizza and attempted to act normal, but I could tell Michaela was still afraid. She kept checking her phone every few minutes. I tried to distract her with silly TikToks, but nothing truly helped. Around midnight, she finally drifted off to sleep. I stayed awake, keeping watch like some sort of guard dog. I know it sounds paranoid, but I had a bad feeling. Good thing I did, because at 2 a.m. I heard something outside our door. Footsteps in the hallway. They stopped directly outside our room. I held my breath and waited. The doorknob jiggled. Someone was trying to get in. I grabbed my phone, ready to call campus security, but then the footsteps moved away. I peeked through the peephole, but the hallway was empty. I barely slept the rest of the night. The next morning, I told Michaela what had occurred. She went pale and said we needed to inform someone, but tell them what? That we heard footsteps? They'd think we were paranoid. We decided to stick together and remain vigilant. I walked her to all her classes. We ate meals together. I even waited outside when she used the bathroom. It was exhausting but necessary. 3 days passed without incident. We began to relax a little. Perhaps Marcus had actually given up. Perhaps we were being paranoid about the footsteps. Then Michaela received a text from an unknown number. It was a picture of her walking to class that morning taken from behind. The message said, "Nice outfit." She showed me and I felt nauseous. Marcus was following her or had someone else doing it. We went directly to campus security, showed them the text and told them about Marcus. They said they'd investigate, but without proof it was him, there wasn't much they could do. They suggested we vary our routes and stay in groups. Truly helpful advice. Thanks, guys. We tried to figure out how Marcus obtained a new number to text from. Michaela had blocked him on everything. Then I recalled those burner phone applications. You could acquire a new number in seconds. He probably had dozens. Sure enough, she received another text an hour later. A different number. This time it was a picture of us at lunch. The message said, "You can't hide forever." I wanted to respond and tell him off, but Michaela stopped me. She said that's what he desired. Attention, a reaction. We blocked that number too. But the texts continued to arrive. New numbers every time, pictures of us around campus, messages about what we were wearing, comments about where we were going. It was as if he was omnipresent or had people observing us. I started constantly looking over my shoulder. Every guy in a hoodie could be one of Marcus's associates. Every person with their phone out might be taking our picture. It was driving me to the brink. Michaela was handling it worse. She stopped attending classes, stopped eating, just remained in my room with the door locked. I tried to persuade her to speak to her parents or the police, but she was too ashamed. She didn't want them to know about the pictures. Even though Marcus had deleted them, the humiliation lingered. After a week of this harassment, I had reached my limit. I told Michaela I was going to confront Marcus again. She pleaded with me not to, saying it would exacerbate the situation, but how could it get worse? We were already living in fear. I needed to end this. I went to his apartment building again. This time I didn't need to sneak in. I still possessed his spare key. I let myself into the building and ascended to his floor. Outside his door I could hear him speaking to someone. I pressed my ear against the door. He was on the phone laughing about something. I heard him mention Michaela's name. Then he said something about the next phase commencing soon. What on earth was the next phase? I used the key to quietly unlock his door. The chain wasn't on this time. I slowly pushed it open. Marcus had his back to me, still on the phone. I crept inside and looked around. On his desk I saw something that made my stomach churn. Printed photos of me and Michaela, dozens of them, all taken over the past week. He had an entire surveillance setup. There was also a notebook filled with our schedules, where we went, what times, who we spoke to. This psychopath was documenting our entire lives. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of everything. Evidence. Then Marcus turned around and saw me. He hung up immediately and stood up, asking what I was doing in his apartment. I said I was collecting evidence of him stalking us. He laughed and said I was the one breaking into his place. He had a point there, but I didn't care. I kept taking pictures. He tried to grab my phone, but I dodged him. I told him this harassment ended now, or I'd take all of this to the police. He said, "Go ahead." His father was a lawyer and would destroy us. Rich boy thought he was untouchable. I was so enraged I could barely see straight. But then I noticed something else on his desk. A USB drive labeled insurance. I grabbed it before he could stop me. His entire demeanor shifted. He actually looked apprehensive. I asked what was on it. He said nothing important, but his face indicated otherwise. I pocketed the drive and headed for the door. He followed me, demanding I return it, offering to leave us alone if I complied. Now I knew it was something significant. I left his apartment with him shouting threats behind me. Back at my dorm, Michaela was pacing anxiously. I showed her the pictures I took of Marcus's stalking setup. She started crying again, but then I produced the USB drive. I told her we needed to see what was on it. We plugged it into her laptop. The drive was password protected. Of course it was. We tried a bunch of obvious passwords, his birthday, his name. Nothing worked. Then Michaela remembered something. When they'd been dating, Marcus had gotten intoxicated once and mentioned he used the same password for everything. Something about his high school football jersey number, and his ex-girlfriend Sarah's name. She remembered because she'd been hurt that he still used his ex's name. We tried different combinations until we hit it. 87 Sarah. The drive opened. Inside were folders. Lots of folders. Each one labeled with the girl's name. We opened the first one. Photos. Intimate photos. Just like what he threatened to do to Michaela. There were at least 20 folders, 20 girls. Some names Michaela recognized from campus. This sick individual had been doing this for years, collecting pictures like trophies. Some looked like they were taken without the girl's knowledge. Others were clearly sent in confidence. My hands were trembling with fury. Michaela was silent, just staring at the screen. We had him. This was evidence of a pattern. Proof he'd done this before. But what should we do with it? Take it to the police, the campus authorities, post it online? Michaela said we needed to think carefully. These were other girls' private photos. We couldn't just share them. But we also couldn't allow Marcus to continue this. I suggested we contact the girls first. Let them know what Marcus possessed. Give them the choice of what to do. Michaela agreed. We started going through the folders, looking for ways to identify and contact each girl. Some had their full names in the file names. Others we recognized from social media. It took hours, but we compiled a list. 23 girls total, all current or former students. The next day we began reaching out. We created an anonymous email account and sent careful messages, explaining we found evidence that Marcus had their private photos, and asked if they wanted to meet. The responses came quickly. Some girls were angry, some were scared, some said they'd suspected but had no proof. Within 2 days we had 12 girls who wanted to meet. We organized a gathering in Michaela's dorm lounge. When everyone arrived, the stories began to flow. Marcus had dated several of them. Others he just hooked up with, but the pattern was always the same. He'd obtain photos somehow, then use them as leverage. One girl, Amanda, said he'd threatened to send her pictures to her parents when she tried to break up with him. Another, Janice, said he'd posted her photos on a revenge site after she refused to lend him money. The room was heavy with shared trauma, but also anger and determination. These girls were done being victims. We showed them the USB drive contents, confirming which photos were theirs. Some girls cried, others looked ready to commit violence, but we all agreed on one thing. Marcus needed to be stopped permanently. We discussed options. Going to the police was risky. Some girls didn't want their photos seen by officers. Campus authorities had failed before. Public shaming could backfire and harm the victims. Then Frances suggested something brilliant. Her older sister worked in IT. She could help us trace where Marcus had uploaded photos before, find any backup clouds or hidden accounts, and delete everything for good. But we needed access to his devices. That meant getting him out of his apartment long enough to search it properly. We spent the next hour planning. It had to be coordinated perfectly. Some girls would create a diversion. Others would search his place. The rest would be ready to document everything. We called it Operation Takedown. Corny but effective. The next evening we put the plan into action. 3 girls went to the campus coffee shop where Marcus studied every Thursday. They sat nearby and began loudly discussing a party, mentioning free drinks and attractive girls from another college. Marcus took the bait. He packed up and followed them out. Meanwhile, I used his spare key to enter his apartment again. This time with backup. Michaela, Amanda, and Janice came with me. We had 30 minutes maximum. We split up and searched everything. Under his mattress, inside drawers, behind books. Amanda found another laptop hidden in his closet. Password protected, but Frances's sister had given us a USB with password recovery tools. We tried the same combinations and got lucky. 87 Sarah worked again. More folders, more girls, some from other schools. This creep had an entire network. We copied everything onto our own drives. Evidence for later. Then we wiped his hard drives. Everything. Photos, documents, his entire system. Janice found physical photos in a shoebox. Old ones from high school. We took those too. Michaela discovered a backup hard drive in his bathroom cabinet. A strange hiding spot, but whatever. We cleared that too. As we were finishing, my phone buzzed. The distraction team said Marcus was heading back. He'd figured out the party was fake. We had maybe 5 minutes. I did one last sweep while the others packed up our evidence. That's when I noticed his phone on the nightstand. He'd left it charging. This was too good to pass up. I grabbed it and tried his usual password. It worked. This idiot truly never learned. I went straight to his photos in cloud storage. Started deleting everything, but there were thousands of pictures. I couldn't get them all in time. Then I remembered something, factory reset. I went to settings and hit the nuclear option. His phone started wiping itself. Everything gone. We heard footsteps in the hallway. Time to go. We slipped out and took the back stairs. Made it outside just as Marcus was entering the front. Back at Michaela's dorm, we regrouped with the others. Everyone was pumped with adrenaline. We'd done it. Cleared his entire stash. But we weren't finished yet. Phase 2 was ensuring he couldn't do this again. Frances's sister had found something interesting in Marcus's laptop. A folder full of passwords for email accounts, social media, dating apps, all belonging to the girls he'd targeted. He'd been hacking them too, monitoring their lives. We used his own passwords to access his accounts, changed everything, and locked him out of his own digital life. Then we found his backup clouds, 3 different services, all full of stolen photos. We deleted everything, then closed the accounts. By morning, Marcus had no photos, no passwords, no backups, nothing. But we kept copies of everything, our insurance policy. If he tried anything again, we'd have proof of his crimes. The next day, Marcus appeared at Michaela's dorm, banging on the door, screaming about his phone and laptop. Campus security removed him. He sent angry texts from new numbers, threatened to sue us, said his dad would ruin our lives. We ignored them all. What was he going to do? Admit we deleted his illegal photo collection? After a week, the texts stopped. Word spread around campus about what Marcus had been doing. Girls started avoiding him. His friends distanced themselves. He became an outcast. Some girls wanted to press charges, but others just wanted to move on. We respected everyone's choice. The important thing was Marcus couldn't hurt anyone else. Michaela slowly started feeling safe again. She went back to classes, started smiling more, even made jokes about the whole thing. I kept a USB drive with all the evidence just in case, hidden in a secure place. Marcus graduated that semester and left town. Good riddance. Last I heard, he was working at his dad's law firm. Probably still a creep, but at least not our problem anymore. The group of girls stayed in touch. We called ourselves survivors, not victims. Some became close friends. Others just checked in occasionally, but we all supported each other. Michaela and I grew even closer through the entire ordeal. She truly was my sister. We'd been through hell together and emerged stronger. She started dating again eventually, found a genuinely decent guy who treated her right. I was cautious at first, but he proved himself. As for me, I learned to trust my instincts. That unsettling feeling about Marcus from the beginning? I should have heeded it. Now I don't disregard warning signs. The whole experience taught me something important. Sometimes the system fails. Sometimes authorities don't help. Sometimes you have to protect yourself and others. We did what needed to be done. I'm not advocating for vigilante justice. But when someone is harming people and escaping consequences, you cannot simply do nothing. You find a way to stop them. Legally when possible, creatively when necessary. Those 23 girls deserve justice. And we secured it for them. Not through courts or law enforcement, but through solidarity and intelligent planning. Marcus believed he could manipulate and control women. He was mistaken. He messed with the wrong girls. We demonstrated to him that his actions had repercussions, that his victims would retaliate, that we protect each other. I still possess that recording from the intoxicated night. Never needed to use it, but I keep it anyway. A reminder of how everything began. How one despicable individual attempted to destroy a friendship and ended up destroying himself instead. Michaela still thanks me sometimes. Says I saved her. But that's not true. We saved each other and we saved those other girls too. That's what genuine friendship looks like. Having each other's backs no matter what. Fighting battles together. Refusing to let malicious people triumph. Marcus wanted to break us apart. He failed. He wanted to harm Michaela. We stopped him. He wanted to continue victimizing women. We ended his entire operation. Complete victory. These days I don't dwell on Marcus at all.